Well, hi guys, here we are yet again. I'm with my 1993 E320 Cabriolet, and it's a bit of a sad story. Yes, it's a sad story. When I bought the car, it came with a kaput transmission, and that's set me back badly, to say the least. And also, I bought a supposedly second-hand transmission from these people. Then I went and bought a second-hand transmission from a company called JMG Autos in Yagoona in Sydney, and what a bunch of bastards they were. They wasted over 2 months of my time. Supposedly I paid for a transmission that never came, and in the end I had to go to the Department of Fair Trading and everything to have it out with the bastards. So they're a pack of bastards too. Keep away from JMG Autos in Yagoona. And finally, because I've been quoted $6,000 to $7,500 to rebuild the transmission, and that's a lot of money. So eventually a hero came to my rescue. His name is Alex Zekovic, I hope I got his name right, in South Australia, and he had a transmission for me, a second-hand one, and we had to put it in the car, and that took, from getting that transmission and put it in the car, a week, probably less, after all months of worrying and trying everything. And so that was all right. The transmission went in the car, everything's nice, except for one thing, it wouldn't go to fifth gear. And now I'm going to talk about fifth gear. So here we go. First off, it took me a lot of research with this car. The American versions only had 4-speed transmissions, probably the same as what's in our E320. The Australian ones had 5-speed, and I think the Japanese and some in Europe. So I did most of my research on the English Merc sites, looking up old records and things, and they are very helpful, that Merc MB Club UK. Anyway, it turns out there's a transmission control unit, and on my car it's located behind the battery, behind the engine ECUs and probably air conditioning, Christ knows what they are. I mean that one. Right at the back. Now, I don't know if you can see it. I'll try and zoom in on it. There we go. That black thing on the firewall at the back. Now, apparently I read, if you unplug it, you'll get fifth gear. What it does, it goes 1, 2, 3, straight to 5. You don't even feel fourth. And unplug it, take the battery out, unbolt these ones, unplug them, get right up the back there and lift the lid off. And guess what? When I did that, took her for a run, she went into fifth. So that made me very happy because I knew the car had fifth gear. I'll tell you another little thing here. I only learnt where this D switch. They keep talking about a D switch, which lines up with the D on your gear stick here, or transmission shifter. And I pulled this console off and everything, and I couldn't see down there. Apparently you got to keep going and dig right down. There is a switch in there, and apparently if you unplug that switch, it's normally closed. If you unplug it, it does the same thing. The car will go from third to fifth, so you know at least you got fifth gear. Now I'll tell you what else I learned. I managed to find auto transmission diagnosis for the 722 series transmissions, and not that it says a lot about the 5-speed ones, it's mainly about the 4 speeds. But it's got fault finding and everything in it. It's really good, and I printed it all out. And here it is, the reasons why you get intermittent or no fifth gear. And it says check for loose connections at throttle valve switch. That's over there, you know, your air intake. Check for poor or loose wiring connections between the TCM, that's the transmission control module, and the transmission. And that's about it. But what I found was they actually have a diagram for the transmission control unit test points, analog codes. And we all know that this is your test point here under the lid. And what it is, I've got all the codes for the 124 cars and that, but they have nothing about the 5-speed transmission module. And here it tells you to connect the yellow wire to socket 13 and the black wire to socket 1 and the red to socket 16. And when I did the test, it came up and it just said control valve. Now control valve, I didn't know what they meant by that, but I learnt that's the valve on the transmission that's on the end of your kickdown cable, and you can't even hardly see it underneath the car. The only way to work on it is to pull the transmission out, which is very scary. Anyway, I got that code, and then I also read that if you don't clear the codes out of there, the transmission control module remembers them, but also it's switched, and you have to delete the code to get 5-speed back again. And guess what? I deleted the codes there and the car went back to normal. And when I deleted the codes, I heard what sounded like a relay click somewhere around here. And so maybe it's a lockout relay or something. But a simple thing like that, and now the car is running lovely with a second-hand transmission. It's 100 times better than the one that was in the car that was supposed to be bloody well rebuilt. And at least I have a spare transmission here to send out to get repaired whenever this one dies. And that is my story. And I can only thank Alex in South Australia very, very much. Without him, I doubt if the car would be going, and it would have cost me thousands. So that's my story, and watch out for those bastards out there that just want to rip you off, or the JMC Autos or whatever they are in Yaguna. I'll talk to you later.